Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's the Husky Boys, Big Poppa, Bobby Hoops, Gold Standard Basketball Podcast, episode 20. Thank you for joining us. Hoops, how you feeling this morning?
Feel great. Saturday was a lot of fun for me. So I'm still coasting. Still coasting off of Saturday.
Yeah. Sure.
How about you?
I mean, let's be honest. If we had recorded this like before the Cats playing their next game,
Oh, it would have been bad.
yeah.
We would have had to figure out how to put bleeps into this probably.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a Patreon, or sorry, not me personally, but like if we, our own show, had a Patreon, like,
Yeah, if we did.
yeah, it would have been nasty. Again, that's if we even have one. So I'm just glad that we at least recorded, before the game
Yeah.
and not really like, all right, let's just get a like rapid reaction type deal because I'll be honest, that game in particular,
Yeah.
the entire second half, I just sat on the couch, didn't make a peep. And lately,
Yeah, we tested a little at halftime and
yeah,
I think we were both a little nervous at halftime. But
yeah. And I know we'll get into it more, but overall, like my favorite thing Dee right now she's doing, and I know that we've talked about this privately, but right now her bid is, do you even like basketball? And I'm like, yeah.
what are you saying? That this is like some kind of this doesn't make sense why we do this?
Yeah, like I can't compute. Like we wouldn't do what we do if we didn't like basketball. That would just,
Yeah.
what do you mean? And even last night during the Vanderbilt game, again, there was just like a moment, and like I know that you get it. It's just like just because you were up 20, and folks, if you haven't noticed anything in college basketball right now, is that anybody can get it, home or away. Doesn't matter if you're up 20 with 12 minutes to go. I mean,
Mhm.
Ohio State was up over Indiana last night. I think they were up 18 to 20 points. Indiana storms back and wins the game by 3.
Yeah.
So there's just a moment where I was very quiet and frustrated. And she was like, your team's up 18 points. Like, what are you mad about? I was like, there's 12 minutes left. Like, there's still a lot of time.
A lot of time. Yeah.
And at that point, Vanderbilt had like made 3 possessions in a row, get buckets. We're making dumb passes. And she's like, again, I'm just thinking you don't really like basketball. And at that point, I was like, I just disagree.
I love it. It doesn't always love me back,
Right.
but I love it.
Yeah. I love it. And yes, that's
I'm
what,
a sicko.
yes, we're sick. Like, we fan differently and we're in the sicko category.
Yeah.
So be it. Hey, real quick, I'm just going to do some quick scores around the country that jumped out, primarily top 25 stuff. We'll get into some league scores from Saturday. Here we go. Let's just say fastest 2 minutes if you want to say that. Carolina Duke. Carolina takes it 93-84. Kansas and Houston 78-65 in favor of Kansas, who was an underdog going into that game.
Yeah, that was an impressive win. Kansas kind of
like
their butt.
Yeah, and Kansas like never underdogs at home. So if you were one who was betting, I don't bet. Bobby Hoops, Bobby bets, maybe every now and then, if that.
I dabble. I wet the beak.
Yeah, every now and then. But other than that was a game where it was like, okay, take Kansas. Hey, Cincinnati went on the road, took down Texas Tech 75-72.
Yeah.
Longhorns 77-66 over TCU. Our boy Orlando Bill down at UCF took down Oklahoma 74-63.
Mm-hmm.
2 other scores that just happened last night, Tuesday. Don't know what happened in North Carolina. If we wanted a North Carolina fan to just jump on the show and give us their thoughts, went down to Clemson, 80-76 at home. Not good. Again,
that felt like such a hangover. We beat Duke. We rushed the streets of Chapel Hill. We partied, and then Clemson showed up, and we were hungover.
And they were mad.
Yeah.
If you aren't aware, Clemson, you could argue should have won at Duke the other night.
Yeah, Clemson's pretty good.
A rogue like no call at the very end when Clemson tries to heave it down the court from baseline out of bounds.
Yeah.
Dudes hit each other, they fall, no call. whatever. So they get a little bit of revenge, and also revenge for Oklahoma, just whooping on the Mormons at BYU, 82-66.
You hate to see it.
Hate seeing it. Hey, real quick, scores from the conference of the SEC from Saturday. Vols take it up at Rupp, score 103. Cats 92. Auburn just lets Ole Miss have it, 91-77. Bama, Jesus, dude. Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Bama takes it to Mississippi State, sweeps them 99-67. LSU 95, Arkansas 74. Arkansas is just, getting in fights with their head coach as they're walking off in a timeout.
It's bad. It's bad at Arkansas right now, man.
Folks, just go ahead. You heard it. Maybe you're hearing it here first. I feel like we've talked about it before. Just go ahead and assume Eric Musselman will not be the head coach at Arkansas after this season.
The Muss Bus is gonna head off into the sunset. It's over.
Load the gas tank up, pack your bags. He's out, baby. South Carolina had a tight one with Georgia, ended up squeaking at 72-62. And then, shocker, A&M wins 67-66 over Florida because, of course, Florida, goes down to College Station and just can't hit the broadside of a barn. I'm not upset about them beating Kentucky. Has nothing to do with that, right? And then my personal favorite, and we've talked about this. I felt like I was saying this a month ago. My Super Bowl loser town ball game for me personally. Vanderbilt, Missouri. Vandy.
Ooh.
Their first SEC win, 68-61 over Mizzou.
Wow.
Rules are rules. I don't make them. I just share and try to abide.
Yeah.
You're out of the league this year. So, whatever. South Carolina, speaking of them again, they played last night against Ole Miss. Tight game, 68-65.
Dude, they're good.
Yeah.
Now they're not crushing people.
No.
But they win ugly and they keep winning. And they're making everyone play their game. And yeah, I mean, kudos to Ole Miss. They kept it close on the road.
Sure.
But winners win. Carolina keeps finding a way to do it.
Q-zip season, as they say in Columbia.
Yeah.
Yeah, folks. Like there's good. I mean, yeah. I sat here, thought it was smoke, going into conference play, thinking, have you really played anybody in non-con? They keep winning. So at this point,
yeah, 20-3, 8-2 in the conference right now.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. I mean,
no. They're playing great ball right now. They've not lost in a few weeks. Yeah, good for y'all.
Should we go ahead and put head ball coach as like possibly the national coach of the year? I mean, is that crazy to say?
Up there so far. I mean, he definitely should get, talked about with it. To me, I've heard a few people talk about how like what UConn is doing this year is so like they're just so good that it's kind of boring to talk about them. But to win it all, have pretty much all the players from your team leave and go to the league, and to reload, turn right back around and be number one again. And it's hard to not give it's Dan Hurley, not Bobby Hurley. Dan Hurley, I mean, it would be hard for me to not give it to him right now. But Lamont Paris at South Carolina has done a fantastic job this year.
You want some scoop?
Give me a scoop.
Speaking of
breaking news.
Well, maybe let's just say scuttlebutt. Like we'll see, kind of thing. As we enter into the end of the year and we get into our coaching carousel season, if Chris Holtman up at Ohio State, it continues to go up in flames, like
he's gone.
He's gone. You're calling it now. Like it's already done.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, scuttlebutt, don't be surprised if Lamont Paris gets a phone call from Ohio State.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Where's he from? What's his background? Do you know?
Well, the only real background I know is that more so the Wisconsin time when he was up there with Bo Ryan.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much other than that
But
personally.
he has ties in the Midwest.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think going back up into Big Ten country wouldn't be
That's not crazy.
no,
Yeah.
and you get to go to Ohio State, which in we've talked about before, but like Ohio State, at least in if you want to talk about category of like NIL setup, I mean
You
Ohio
can
State,
win big.
yeah,
Ohio State
Ohio
basketball
State's
has
got
a history of being good.
yeah, they've got money.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, it's probably most likely getting poured into football, but if they get the right guy at basketball,
Yeah.
they can get back into the swing of things. So we'll see. I know Carolina fans are probably like, we don't want to hear that right now. Like, we're trying to enjoy it. We know Lamont will probably get phone calls.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you a school that may or may not have heard. So
Sure.
um, other than that, that's all the scores we got. Do you have any other? Oh, this was my one thing, at least about Alabama. Um,
Mm.
Guys, it's just not. It's getting to the point where it's not a coincidence that there's a really good chance they could win their third league title in 4 years. I did not realize. Basically, Nate Oates has had a complete turnover when it comes to staff. So, like, lost all of his assistants to head coaching jobs. Support staff guys all left with those assistant coaches. So he's had to bring in pretty much everybody coaching staff wise. Lost 8 of 10 guys from a roster last year, which included the likes of Brandon Miller. Um, I mean, they're steamroll. They were 6-5 going into the end of December. And
It's been crazy. And we were at the going into SEC play. I don't think we weren't looking at Alabama with any kind of like, oh no,
no,
like they're going to be a contender. And outside now, they got it's weird to look at what they've done since league play started because they had a really good close win over Auburn, and they got drubbed by Tennessee at in Knoxville. But other than that, they have kicked everyone's butt. Everyone. It's like really one bad game against us where they had a couple injuries and they just what they do wasn't working that night. But other than that, they have looked awesome. Awesome. Scary awesome.
with the staff that he brought in, they essentially stuck to the same pro style game plan that he's done the last couple of years, outside of a game or two where they would just go ice cold from three kind of issue. But otherwise, they stuck with it's threes and layups.
Yeah.
And
When it work when with what he wants to do on offense, when it's working, just pack it up. Because they're too athletic and can shoot too well. They're just gonna blow you out of the gym.
athletic enough to they've got athletes they can put on the floor that not only can hit threes outside of guards, but like big men, whether to transfer, but like can go in and rebound. Like, let's be honest, right? Like the more you shoot, the more rebound opportunities you're gonna have, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you go throw up 30 to 43s and you're having a good night, like you're probably hitting anywhere from 9 to 15 of those, which means you've got a lot of rebounding opportunities. And they're getting offensive rebounds, which is allowing either a kickback out for another three ball, hit it,
Mm-hmm.
or an easy, dunk layup situation, or get fouled and go to the free throw. So they're again, maybe I'm
They're
just
good, man.
more out of
Mark Sears is a baller. That dude's a dog. If you're averaging 20 points in college basketball, you are really, really good. That's hard to do.
so I
You
mean
only
that
play 40 minutes and he's averaging 20. I mean, that's pretty.
Sears, Connect, Reeves, somebody else.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're doing that, that's unreal.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough league talk and Alabama talk. I want you to talk, whether it's about Saturday, whether you want to talk about tonight's game, Anything else on your mind? Go for it.
I mean, Saturday was fun. I mean, it was, there were, I mean, obviously it's awesome to watch your team score 103 points in Rupp Arena. It's happened. I think they were saying that's the first time an opposing team has scored over 100 in Rupp in 30 years. I think that was the stat I saw, or something along those
Yeah.
lines. It's been a long time since an opposing team went into Rupp and did this, which it was just, especially coming off that loss last Tuesday against South Carolina, where and Barnes called the whole team out for it. Everyone stood around and just hoped and prayed that Dalton pulled us out of the hole and put us on his shoulders and win the game by himself. And it wasn't fair to connect for everybody to do that. Well, I'm sure Barnes kicked their butts up and down the court all week leading up to Saturday because they came out against Kentucky. And I know, and you'll get into it, that this Kentucky team, as amazing as they are on offense, they're as bad defensively. And it was, there were a lot of points that Tennessee scored. I mean, I think there was they scored 10 points off of inbounds plays. There were just a few plays where Kentucky made it really easy on us. And I'm trying not to kick you too much while you're down over there. This was what happened. But for all five of our starters to be in double figures, the guy I said last week, Josiah Jordan-James, we need you so badly on offense, comes out, shoots 9 of 18, 4 of 9 from 3, 26 points, 5 rebounds, couple steals, assists. I mean, he played one of the best games I've ever seen from him. And Ziegler is just he is so amazing. 26 for him, 13 assists, 3 steals. I mean, when if Dalton Connect is your third highest scorer in a game that he didn't even need to play that much and didn't really shoot all that well for his standards. Um, it was a get right, feel good, go up and kick your rival's butt in their house. I mean, it was a total man, that was pretty cool because especially as Tennessee fans, I know in the last since Barnes got here, it's been a little more of an even matchup with Kentucky. And you kind of touched on it last week of what the last, 5-6 years have looked like for Kentucky under Cal, that, a little more trending down, to put it mildly. But Tennessee fans still aren't used to seeing a team in orange go up to Lexington and win like that in Rupp. So it was pretty fun, really cool, really a get right game for a couple guys who have not been playing all that great lately. Adu and Vescovy had great games too. Jordan Gainey came off the bench and hit a couple shots, which is, again, we just want to see more of that. Tobe Awaka about fought the whole city of Lexington. Got the team all fired up on the quadruple technical foul there, which was crazy. But yeah, it was a fun night. Yeah, Tennessee's got LSU tonight at home. Yeah, if we play anything like we did on Saturday, even a fraction of that, I'm not really worried about tonight. We're rightfully a top 10, top 5 team, in my opinion. So yeah, it was a lot of fun for me. I know it wasn't a lot of fun for you.
Yeah, I mean, at the point where, and everybody can, do their own discovery, whatever they need to do. When Aaron Bradshaw technically kissed Tobe Awaka.
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was I mean, I've heard, talk about you're getting into a fight with a guy, kiss him, see what he does.
Which is pretty funny.
It was funny. I have never seen Tobe Awaka so pissed off and mad and ready to fight everyone in blue. And I mean, my favorite part of that whole, and obviously it never came to being anything worse than what it was, thankfully, and we weren't going to have a fight or anything like that. But when Ziegler was getting in between them and trying to push Awaka away, Ziegler was cracking up laughing it was like you can just tell. I mean, Ziegler, he's a New York guy. He grew up sneaking onto subway trains to try to get down to, like, he is for this. He wants the smoke. He wants to see his guy fired up. So that was a really funny moment to me.
I think my favorite part, looking back on it, was Tobe doing the, like, after Bradshaw kissed him on the lips, he did the, like, wipe it off.
Like he was wiping his mouth, like, what the heck?
Yeah, like if we give Charlie a kiss on the cheek and he's like, ooh, no, as if it's gonna, and I was like, that was pretty funny. He's like, I'm gonna wipe this off. I can't believe this dude. But I understand it's just a little bit different from an intimidation standpoint, that it, like, it's kind of a thing. It's just to, like, intimidate you, to say, like, you don't scare me. You're smaller than me.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at Tobe's arms, I mean, my man's got arms like Jim Branch, where you're like, I'm just not gonna mess with this dude.
Don't want to mess with Tobe Awaka.
No, or Jim. But yeah,
or Jim.
They throw weight around, and I'm just like, do you want to physically fight him? And Bradshaw pushed him in the back. I'm like, dude, really? You have enough energy to? I know you want to stand up for Rob. Rob doesn't, like, if anybody throws hands, they're getting thrown out. So, like, nobody's gonna do it. But if you have enough energy to shove a guy in the back, like, you didn't have enough energy to box him out and get rebounds and fight there. You wanted to, Anywho, yeah, I'll hang on to my other thoughts, but I think you had mentioned you had one other thing you wanted to talk about, maybe statistics.
Yeah. I there's a guy that you and I kind of keep up with, who's like a college football or college basketball just junkie in terms of keeping up with stats. And he, a couple times a year, puts out kind of a update throughout the season of who are the teams that, going off the history of statistics in the NCAA tournament, who are the teams that statistically can win it all. Can win it all. Doesn't mean they're gonna, can. And he has like 6 things that he goes off of. And there will be a point at the end of this. But all NCAA tournament winners of the last 30 years entering the tournament were top 57 in offensive efficiency and top 37 in defensive efficiency entering the tournament. That's Tennessee right now. Unfortunately, Kentucky doesn't make it in the defensive efficiency part there. Also, going off of that one, every champion since 2002, besides UConn in 2014, which was one of the craziest, stupidest NCAA tournament winners ever, but every champ since 2002 was top 21 in offensive efficiency, which for the SEC, that's only Auburn and Tennessee right now. No first-year head coach at that school has ever won a national championship, and only one has ever won a title at a school with less than 5 years experience at that school. So that knocks out teams like Arizona, Duke, and UNC this year, even though what's UNC's coach? Hubert Davis. He came real close a couple years ago, and that stat would have been thrown out, but he didn't win it. Every champion since 1990 has come from a conference that has had 4+ teams make it into the tournament. So that works for the SEC and for Tennessee right now. Pac-12 is the only conference that's kind of cutting it close, which also looks bad for Arizona. And lastly, every champion since 2004 was top 12 in the Week 6 AP poll. What was Tennessee Week 6 in the AP poll? 12. So, based on all of those things I just said, there are only 4 teams in the country who meet every one of those benchmarks. And those are Purdue, UConn, not surprising either. Those are the top 2 teams all year. Houston, who still meets that after the loss on Saturday against Kansas. And the Tennessee Volunteers meet every single one of those benchmarks. Does that mean I think Tennessee is going to win it all? No. Can they? Yeah.
Sure.
numbers don't lie. Facts don't care about your feelings. I'm just saying, if I were a betting man, you know,
Yes.
it looks good for us right now. Now, will make a Final Four, make an Elite Eight? That makes me feel even better that this team, who is almost the same returning team that made it to the Sweet 16 last year, except we didn't have Zakai, and we sure as heck didn't have a guy like Dalton Connect. This is a team that the numbers show, and what I can see with my eyeballs week in and week out, this is a team that can go really far in the tournament. And obviously I'm in the clouds dreaming right now based on those stats I just read. But this is a team that can go as far as further than any team we've ever had. Yeah. So that was fun. That was fun for me to hey, the stats are what the stats are. There you go.
Ball don't lie.
Yeah.
Connect the dots. That's all I got to say. No, I'm glad you got to talk about
Yeah, I can hang a banner now that we meet all of Ryan Hammer on Instagram's 6 metrics that show who the champion could be. Hang a banner.
Hang a banner. Why not?
Yeah.
Now, you and everybody else, and I know it's, yes, micro, the Kentucky game, but like macro, when you start to put all the micro together, it's like, oh, no, this is legit. And this is the best, arguably, of a chance that you've got, at least looking forward to postseason. And yeah, you deserve to be able to talk about that and, ride the clouds after Saturday. Like, we had a therapy session. I mean, it was bound that the next episode, somebody was going to get to be like,
hey,
how about us? So
yeah.
I'm not gonna do what I did Friday when we last recorded. I really only have, I don't have like many big takeaways after the Vanderbilt game, at least last night. If you want to go back to Saturday, I think the way I felt, again, a micro of a macro, which we talked about it. I mean, obviously, maybe if you thought I had like a state of the program kind of speech. Saturday was just a very frustrating observation of, like I talked about, the defense is awful. Has been awful essentially all year, but it kind of got band-aided and covered up by the fact that your offense is still an absolute elite machine. It's top 10 in the country, and at times has been first or second. You were just able to outscore everybody, but then finally
Dillingham is incredible. I mean, what he was doing, I saw Matt Jones from KSR saying this, that like, it's a shame that that performance that Dillingham had on Saturday will probably not be remembered much in Kentucky history, because he was phenomenal for Kentucky.
He, at one point, for anybody who wasn't aware, like, he was starting to heat up like he does. He's a microwave. To hits about 3 or 4 buckets in a row, and guess what Cal does?
Oh, I was sweating.
Takes him out. And I mean, the crowd started booing. They're like, what are you doing? And then, you know what happened a minute later? Puts him right back in. But it was just one of those things where you're like, what are you doing? Like, we're heating up here in a moment where, to start the game, we not only got punched in the mouth, but like took more 2-3 punches straight to the jaw. And it was like, hey man, you got to get off the mat. Put Rob in, let him start heating up and like catch up. I mean, holy crap.
Yeah. It was a shame for Kentucky for him to be, because I think it was with like, I think there was about 10 minutes left in the second half when he got his 4th foul.
Yeah.
Which was tough.
Yeah. And at that point, he was really the only guy that could take anybody off the dribble and make any sort of play, whether it's get to the rim or get inside the paint and then dish it to somebody at the 3 and let Tone or whoever shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, 35 points, 30, 34, 35. Just it'll go down in the books of here's Rob Dillingham, who at this point I'm like, just give him the sixth man of the year award for the fact that like, should he start? Probably. Yeah, like he should. I mean, my man's going nuclear. Outside of that game, it was just completely depressing because it's like and I will save a lot more thoughts toward after the season as a let's see what happens. I've already had my meltdown episode.
Yeah.
But of a like state of the program type, here we are with JVC. What's going on? Because that night when I was listening to post game and all that stuff, which was actually in some ways therapeutic and good, it just feels pretty fractured going into finishing year 15 with Cal.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? This kind of thing. So again, I'll wait to reserve those thoughts and spout out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
I will say last night was a good, we got to just go beat the snot out of somebody game. Like, you just need to bounce back. And I'm like, I don't care if it was Vandy. I was just sitting there reading stuff online, which of course, when you get online, it's the internet. Should I go on Twitter and read stuff? Like, probably not. When people are like, oh, it's Vandy, what are you getting up about it beating them 109-77? I'm like, I don't care if it was a group of fifth graders who got free tickets to the ball game, put them on the floor, they can get it. I would rather beat them by 200. I don't care.
Yes. Yes.
I don't care if it's them. I don't care if it's your grandma, her friends at the nursing home, your cousin. Anybody could get it that night.
Yes.
That was just
they had to release some frustration.
Yeah. And it was perfect.
Just kick the crap out of somebody, and it just, sorry, Vanderbilt, it was you.
Sorry, you know what feels bad? It was like you went on the road and did it, which,
yeah,
again, I know it's Vanderbilt, and I'm not even taking away like, oh, we're back from the dead. Get like Final Four, here we come. It was just a good field game.
Yeah.
Go beat the ever living crap out of somebody on the road after two embarrassing losses.
Mm-hmm.
Go do something. So,
yeah.
Big Tone, 24, 6 of 9 from 3. Rob Dillingham, another 20 piece, 9 assists, 4 or 5 from 3. Justin Edwards may have been the game, finally, that we started to like, are we getting somewhere? He had 17 points. Aaron Bradshaw, 12.7 rebounds. My boy Big Z, he had the Big Z experience of 11.7 rebounds, fouled out with like 7 minutes left. It was awesome. Jordan Burks got some run, 13 points, 5 rebounds. It was fun to see him. Just a guy who's gotten pitted down into the lineup, not his fault. I mean, it just the point when if the team is completely healthy, which is also a mind-blowing thing going back over the last, quite frankly, 8 years. But this year alone, I think I saw a stat. It's like Kentucky's played 63 games in a row of not having a completely healthy roster. Somebody is always healthy. And I'm like, if you have a completely healthy roster, you have 11 dudes.
Yeah. It's a deep team.
So that's the point. Like, seeing that last night is like step in the right direction. Okay. You feel better. Like, let's go play Gonzaga at home. Let's not do 3 straight home losses, please. But like, give it to Gonzaga, hopefully.
Yeah.
The defense is what it is.
I mean, you just got to outscore people.
Yeah, I'm like, just be like mild at this point, because I mean, you even gave up 77 to Vanderbilt. I don't think Vanderbilt had scored more than 72 going into that game. Just whatever. Like, I know
at this point, I just outscore them. Your team is what it is.
Yeah.
The defense isn't going to be great.
Yeah. I mean, spend time working on defense, that's fine, but it's like just be decent enough, because your offense, like, it goes nuclear at this point. It's almost like just go ahead and assume they're going to score at least 90 or more every game, outside of some weird circumstance. So, hey, real quick, do you have any dog or jabronis of the week?
I have a quick dog of the week, and the dog of the week is actually a team. It's the Indiana State Sycamores
Oh,
from the Missouri Valley Conference. If you are a real basketball sicko, they are playing awesome ball this year, and they run an offense that is just like, if you're like a real old traditional, like they about every other trip down the court, they could score with maybe taking one dribble. It is just guys are sprinting. They're five wide. Everyone's by the 3-point line. Everyone's running around cuts. They basically have five guys on the court who can all pass and shoot. And they just are running and running and running and running and running. It is crazy. It is a totally untraditional in terms of they don't have a guy march down and get in the post, and they're not running normal motion offense. It is motion offense, constant running, constant cuts. It's really fun to watch, and it's very different. And I think they'll be really fun. And people, when tournament time comes, they're gonna be a popular team in the tournament. Indiana State.
Speaking of popularity, I think there's one individual, if we're honest, that folks should keep their eye on, because if they make the tournament, this guy is going to probably be the biggest talk of the tournament, potentially. I think he goes by, if what the youth say, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, maybe.
Yeah, or Midwest Jokic.
So good. This guy,
They're amazing. Robbie Avila is his name.
rocking
their center. He's got the rec specs going. It's awesome.
It's so good. I have one dog of the week, ain't a Jabroni.
All right, you got a minute to do it.
Yeah, real quick. Dog of the week's actually my wife, Dee Dee.
Oh, respect.
Yeah. I'm just proud of her. She's going on a girls trip this weekend. Just proud of her for like scheduling, taking off time. She normally doesn't. I know this sounds like she's
no.
It's like, yeah, because she works all day at the high school, being around kids and adults who act like kids, and doesn't really ever take time to go do things outside of like maybe gets her nails done every couple weeks and gets a massage.
Shout out to Dee Dee. Good for you, girl.
Yeah, shout out to Dee Dee. She's got a girls trip for the weekend. So
good for you.
Go get him. Dolly Parton thing. She'll be great. Jabroni of the week. It's Cal. Like, you deserve it.
Duck in the press conference again.
Yeah, if you want to know why, go listen to the last episode, but it's Cal. You know, hopefully he'll get off the Jabroni train. But other than that, that's all I got. Thank you all for listening. Big Poppa, Bobby Hoops. Love you guys. See you.